Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now September 21st of 2023, and given that Disney and the board of directors, Bob Iger, all together are really having a tough time throughout all of this year between the box office failures of many movies, and let's not forget about the Disney stocks hitting a very big low, merchandise really not selling for both Star Wars and Marvel, and it gets all the more worse than that. Because we know that Bob Iger and his cost containment plan is wreaking havoc not just at Disney in general, but also at Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm, and how a lot of this is going to result in a big domino effect. Let's discuss. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject. Now, we know that Bob Iger is, in my opinion at least, the worst CEO of Disney of all time. Really dethroning Bob Chapek as the worst CEO, I feel, because of the lead-up. We all know that Bob Iger created the mess that Chapek had to handle, and in turn, Chapek tried to do damage control for Disney because of Iger's mess. That only made matters worse when Chapek was fired and Iger stepped back in. And let's be real, Iger was always intended to come back. This was all a plan by Disney. Chapek was just the fall guy. He was just the guy to kind of pick up the pieces for a while and for people to use as a scapegoat from what it seems like. But what's really all the more intriguing has a lot to do with Disney's plan right now. Now, specifically, this has a lot to do with their current plan that has been revised for the upcoming Disney purge. Now, we know that with Disney actively attempting to course correct both Star Wars and Marvel, one major development has to do with what recently happened. Now, with Disney, this involves the ongoing Disney purge that is set to go into effect by early 2024 and the rest of that year. This is all due in part to Bob Iger's cost containment plan that is set to result in thousands of firings that are now going into effect prematurely. Iger's cost containment plan is aimed to go into its second phase that will include thousands of firings next year, as well as closing multiple studio locations and the amount of locations or the frequency in which Disney can film at in order to reduce spending. Already, Disney is drastically dialing back on Star Wars movies and or shows, filming at Pinewood Studios for their movies and shows down the road to a bare minimum to save spending. Now, Iger is already planning to make the announcement of the firing of thousands of employees at the first earnings call for 2024 to shape the specifics with, of course, the public and the shareholders alike. This will involve a cutback of employees for their parks, those working on streaming services such as Disney Plus and even ESPN, as well as the purge of tons of Disney Plus content, such as movies and shows, while also increasing the rates of the subscription plans. The significant part of this purge has to mainly do with the firing of big-time creators and A-list actors from working on either sequels or spin-offs related to already established Marvel and Star Wars content. Now guys, let me just stop here for a second. Now, this is the problem. Before I get to the next big piece about this development is that I think the biggest failure coming out of this is the fact that Disney and Bob Iger have the gall, they have the audacity to remove Disney Plus content and raise rates for their subscription services. For example, they already began doing this, I believe, this year. To my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys can check right now if it's still active, Maleficent 1, not the sequel, but the first movie, Maleficent, has been purged from Disney Plus. Alright, I know, I noticed this a couple of days ago. A lot of you out there were confirming this, and it has been the same for the past couple of days. And this actually moves directly in line with how they are beginning to slowly do this under people's nose for the remainder of 2023, and it's only going to get worse when it comes to Star Wars, Marvel content. They are basically going to pick and choose what is getting streamed the most and or the less, and removing streaming movies or shows that are not getting as much replay value. That's basically what Disney is doing, which is unfortunate to people that are subbed to Disney Plus, because it should not really rely strictly on popularity on a consistent level to keep something on there. I mean, sometimes it works like this, but Disney's way of handling this is a little too premature and just ridiculous flat out. Now, further, this is where things get even more intense and serious. So, this is Disney's intent to spend less on stardom power by reducing the amount of A-list actors that get hired for big-time actors requiring big pay. Disney is now also in pursuit of obtaining many more unknown roles from Marvel and Star Wars sequels and spin-offs, and really keeping the amount of known actors at a very big low. Disney will also be purging tons of Star Wars and Marvel merchandise that is not in high demand, as well as talks of ditching the High Republic books, which by the way are garbage, that's just my opinion, that are also not meeting expectations for their Star Wars sales. Now, multiple Star Wars movies are also planned to get officially cancelled, which will in turn put many of those out of work at Disney for a while. Iger will also be making an important announcement on the firings by teasing this at this year's last earnings call, which takes place in early November. About the Star Wars movies, guys, we have quite a number that have gone unannounced, that have not been revealed just yet, that were already cancelled and axed behind the scenes. Some of which, as shocking as it may seem, were fully intended to be released on Disney Plus to serve as the first batch of movies for Star Wars on that platform. But don't be too surprised, because we have heard a lot of rumblings that James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi will be axed. And I think it's related to this Disney purge. I think that his movie will be the first to go. That most likely is a part of the group of Star Wars films that will be cancelled. And to be honest, what they really should do, they have to purge this Rey movie. Who in the world is asking for a Rey movie is beyond me. Nobody cares about sequel trilogy content. You know, at least for the majority, people don't really care. Unless they're really going to reinvent the character to the degree where it really reshapes Daisy Ridley's Rey, which I don't think they're going to do that in the end of the day. But the fact that still, the first Star Wars movie right now to return is still the Rey movie, which I think is just flat out an insult to fans. Come up with something new, come up with something original, explore a brand new, character or a series of characters that we've never seen before that have no connection to the sequels, originals, or even the prequels. That's the way to go. So anyway, like I say, there's a lot of problems coming out of Disney. These thousands of firings that are already pre-planned not only range from employees, but it also leads to the removal of many A-list actors, like I pointed out before. They want to spend less on stardom power. That's how bad Disney is in a situation right now, and they want to not admit this to shareholders, to the general public right now. They want to keep stringing them along until the new year, which is why Bob Iger will not talk about this until the first earnings call in the grand scheme of things. So anyway, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.